So One Punch Man Season 3 just came out, and I'm
not seeing enough movement.
Yeah, I've definitely seen better, but it did make me realize that, man, I don't even remember how good it used to be. Like, I remember really enjoying Season 1 of One Punch Man. I thought it was incredible, but also, that was 10 years ago. Like, yeah, I remember enjoying Saitama punch that dude in the balls and stuff, but like, not much else. And I mean, I remember the animation being good, but like, everything looks well animated now. I can't quite visualize exactly how well done it was. Even Season 2 came out 6 years ago with only 12 episodes. Like, I'm starting to feel like an unk over here. So, I decided to rewatch Season 1 of One Punch Man, and was it really that good? Did it actually live up to the huge praise and legend it had created? Well, yeah, it was pretty good. You know, for a while now, I feel like I've seen a lot of people downplay One Punch Man by saying it's a simple, fun story with cool action, but that it doesn't have any substance. And I gotta say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I just can't get behind the notion that simple stories or characters don't have substance or aren't well written, or vice versa. Just because a character is quiet and mysterious and speaks in riddles does not mean he works well as a character in the story. Like, for example, you see this dude? This guy sucks ass.
That shit is fucking trash, though.
This is the most annoying ass piece of shit character I have ever seen. This dude feels like he was written by a 14-year-old, and every time he wrote down one of the lines of dialogue, he was like, damn. That's deep. Just like how Johan from Monster explores deep themes like nihilism, the nature of evil, Saitama explores existentialism and heroism. The two just have two very different approaches to their respective stories. I really think Saitama's existentialism is showcased perfectly. A person who wants to fight strong opponents but became so strong himself that he beats everyone with one punch is a really creative way to explore that theme. He's always looking for fights but is always disappointed. The fight he has against Boros is especially good at this and a perfect way to end the season. He meets with another person who is the exact same as him, someone who has been waiting his whole life to meet a person who will give him a good fight. And Boros does get just that. It's an incredible battle where he has to go all out. He gets exactly what he wants. But Saitama doesn't. He never does. He doesn't even need to try. And that must make him feel so incredibly lonely. He's met so many people and monsters, even aliens that came here to meet him due to an ancient prophecy, but not a single one of those people have been the same as him. I genuinely felt so sad for this bald ass motherfucker in this moment. And the silly comedic moments only add to that. Like the way he dreams about fighting strong opponents only to wake up and be disappointed that it was all a dream, or how challenging he finds everyday life like shopping for groceries or cleaning. Because his life is so boring, the only areas where he can find an actual challenge are in equally boring and mundane everyday tasks. They don't just exist for comedic purposes, they also further emphasize and explore the theme. Something I've also heard a lot of people say is that Mob Psycho is better than One Punch Man, and I mean, yeah, Mob is better, but that doesn't really say much given just how good Mob is. That's like saying Kendall Jenner is better than Kylie.
Okay.
I honestly don't think One Punch Man is that far behind in terms of quality. In fact, I think Mob has made me appreciate it and One's writing style even better. I just love how he uses simple concepts like Mob's percentage counter or Saitama one-shotting everyone as natural ways to create tension and anticipation in the story. You know it's going to happen sooner or later, so you need to keep watching to see how it happens. And that honestly highlights what I think is one of the biggest strengths in this story, which is how it deals with having a main character that is overpowered as hell. Saitama being able to one-shot everyone is obviously something that needs to happen. It's crucial for the story to work, so how do we make it interesting? One takes an approach that's pretty similar to Battle Shonen with overpowered protagonists like One Piece or Dragon Ball. Since the main character is so strong, we instead need to make the side characters fight the main bad guy until they arrive. Now you might be asking, how does this make it any better? That's just even more predictable. Obviously the side character is just gonna get their ass beat so the protagonist can make the heroic save. But the goal isn't for the audience to 100% believe the side characters can win. Instead, the goal is to make the audience think there might be a chance they can win. For example, when the Sea Fighters fight Nappa and Vegeta, Goku obviously makes the save in the end, but for a very long time, they have to try and find ways to beat Nappa, and it seems like there might actually be a legitimate chance. They try grabbing his tail, Krillin has this crazy new technique that can kill anyone no matter how strong they are, Gohan's hidden potential potential is constantly talked about as this huge thing that if utilized can save the day, but ultimately they fail. They can't even beat Nappa, and Goku steps in to take him out. But the fact that I actually thought they might have a chance to beat him added so much needed tension that would have been so boring without it. One Punch Man is really good at this with stuff like the Meteor or the Deep Sea King, where Genos goes all out or uses his new turbo butt explosion move, or some other side character steps in, and it looks like they might just have a chance to win, but of course they never do.
He needs some milk!
And this also goes both ways, because it creates extra anticipation that helps hype up the villains and put into perspective just how strong they are, and makes us think that Saitama might actually be in trouble here, which makes his one singular punch all that more satisfying. But even though the story is very good at this, it's also where my singular criticism for this season comes. Because in order for these side characters to have a chance of fighting the villains in the first place, Saitama has to be somewhere else. One Piece and Dragon Ball is pretty good at this. Like in the Syrup Village arc, Luffy gets hypnotized by Django and ends up getting himself knocked out. So the rest of the gang has to fight all of Kuro's men and eventually Kuro himself, until Luffy wakes up and steps in. Or in the Namek Saga, Goku gets beaten so bad he has to spend hours recovering while the rest of them fight Frieza. Both of these examples play with existing mechanics in their stories, and in One Piece's case, it also takes into account the characters' personalities, as no one other than Luffy would be dumb enough to get hypnotized. But in One Punch Man, a lot of times the way the story does this and how it typically separates Saitama from Genos is a bit contrived. Like with the Meteor. Throughout the whole season, Saitama and Genos' goal has been to increase Saitama's hero rank. Him taking out the Meteor would be a perfect chance to do that, but instead Genos goes alone without contacting him. He never even once considers calling Saitama on his phone or getting his help in any way, shape, or form, even though the whole city and countless lives are about to be lost. And keep in mind, Genos fully knows how strong Saitama is. This comes right after their spar, where he absolutely bodied him, using only a fraction of his power. He should know full well that he could destroy this meteor. But no, he still doesn't call him, to the point where he would rather kill himself in a final kamikaze attack instead of getting his help, but just for Saitama to coincidentally show up at the end. And after it's all taken care of, this motherfucker has the audacity to say,
"Look at this. If only the Hero Association had called you to help instead of me, Master."
Your brain doesn't fucking work, you idiot. You're honestly an idiot.
This same thing happens against the Deep Sea King. Everyone remembers how fucking satisfying it was to see Saitama absolutely obliterate this dude. It's just the most insane feeling of catharsis. But the way the story makes Saitama show up so late is really dumb. Him and Genos are together, and then Genos says, then a few minutes later, when he finds the Sea King, he says this. Why not? Does Saitama not have a phone? If so, how the hell did Genos think he was gonna contact him?
Something was wrong with him.
Like, what happened here? But like I said, this is the only problem I have with this season, meaning it's not a big deal and doesn't take away from my enjoyment from the rest of the season at all. Like, it doesn't take away from the soundtrack, which is just so fucking sick. Or the humor. Like, man, this story is even funnier than I remember. Saitama in particular is just an infinite source of jokes. But I think the person who is the funniest in this whole season is Genos.
8階建てくらいはあるね。
I just love how OD this guy is. Like, every time he sees someone, it's just on sight, bro. Like, this guy has no chill whatsoever. Whenever these two are together is honestly where the show is the best for me. It's basically what it would be like to watch Goku and future Trunks together, with Goku's super carefree nature and Trunks' And of course, I don't even have to mention this, but the animation is incredible. Every single action moment is so much more immersive because of this, and just makes me a lot more invested in the story as a whole. I particularly like this shot right here. It's such a cool way to showcase his speed and momentum, and the season is filled with insanely good animation just like this, and stuff that's even better. It makes me kind of sad that we couldn't just like keep this, because it truly deserves it, as One Punch Man is a really good story. So I'm gonna give One Punch Man Season 1 a 9 out of 10, and honestly it's pretty close to a 10. And you know what else is pretty close to a 10 but not quite? This show right here. It's amazing. Go watch it, and most importantly, go watch my video on it.